MultiVersus is back! Soon. The game that shut down beta at the end of June last year recently had a developer showcase announcing their grand return and showing off new features that will be arriving. MultiVersus will be returning to stores on May 28th with new stages, new characters, new moves, new netcode, new modes, you name it. Most of what we're going to be analyzing today is going to be what was shown off in the official developer update, alongside some other information that the developers have posted on social media. In this video, we will be going over what we know about MultiVersus so far and what we can expect in the final stretch leading to MultiVersus' official launch. Let's begin by going over what the showcase recently put out by the developers has shown us. The biggest thing shown off is the visual overhaul provided to the game. While MultiVersus is still keeping in line with its old cartoony style, characters have all been given new shading and lighting in order to make their visuals pop better. Additionally, tons of new visual effects have been added to the game in order to spice up a lot of areas that were previously lacking. One such effect is now the new wall and ground bounce animation. Previously, bounces were fairly lackluster, as you'd simply hit someone and they bounce off with little to no fanfare. Now, if you manage to smack someone into a surface of any sort, there's a brand new Baja Blast looking glass effect. The next visual effect added is a much more pronounced smoke effect. While this existed in MultiVersus previously, it didn't happen as often and was much less pronounced, leading people to kind of flying away looking like a wet rag. Now, when suffering knockback, characters have a very visible smoke trail behind them showing where they were launched from. Characters now also have tumble animations once they get hit away. Biggest of all, the character sizes and hit pause adjustments on hit though seem to be the most obvious changes added. Just look at the before and after images of this Shaggy. Just look how long characters freeze in place before being launched. While the intention of these changes is most likely to make the game a bit more visible and make hits a bit more satisfying, I feel like they may have pushed both of these specific things a little too far, and I hope they pulled them back an appropriate distance in time for the full launch. All in all of the visual changes for MultiVersus seem to be meant to do one thing: make the game visually more satisfying. While I'm not personally a big fan of the increased character size and hit lag, and believe that they both need to be tuned down to a midpoint between the beta and their current state, everything else from MultiVersus looks very clean, and the game looks a lot better than it did when it was in beta. Let's move on to stages. Two completely new pieces of concept art were showcased in the developer update for MultiVersus. The first of these stages, Townville Hall, takes place in the city of Townsville and is home of the Powerpuff Girls. It seems to be a mostly flat stage from what we can see as of right now. The second of these stages, Dexter's Lab, is host to a large variety of gizmos and gadgets, but we don't actually know how the stage itself will appear, as there's no floor to stand on visible in what we were shown. It's impossible to say exactly how these stages will look in-game, since we've only really seen the concept art for either, but if you're a fan of either of these series being represented in MultiVersus, there you go. Let's move on to the mechanics changes that we know are in the game so far. First off, dash attacks. Throughout the showcase, we were able to see a total of 4 different characters' dash attacks. These characters were Harley, Morty, Taz, LeBron, and maybe Rick? I don't know if this move is a dash attack or if it's something else, but hey, it's in the game. Alongside the addition of dash attacks, they also added a star-shaped dash indicator under characters to show when your characters ran far enough to be considered dashing. If you don't run far enough, you'll do a forward tilt, but if you run far enough, you'll do a dash attack instead. Moving on to movement, if you've played MultiVersus before, you know that the movement is one of the main reasons that people continue to play the game. It was fast, fluid, and just generally really fun. While we can't really get a sense of what good play looks like yet, since the showcase only showed off CPU play, we can confirm that MultiVersus' core movement mechanic, dodge jumping, is still in to some extent, since we can see Shaggy use it once here. I'm personally hoping that the game maintains a good amount of speed for the full release, and I hope that in future showcases they show off the movement a little bit more. The MultiVersus netcode. If you were around during MultiVersus beta run, you would know that the netcode of the game was one of the most pressing issues throughout its lifespan. While the netcode would sometimes be okay, a large chunk of the time while you were playing, you'd be getting something that's completely and utterly unplayable.
He's lagging? I hope this doesn't kill me. Dude.
However, the devs do know this, and for MultiVersus' official launch, they have implemented an entirely new netcode system. Take this tweet from a technical system designer at Player First Games. We rebuilt the game from the ground up for our new netcode. I've been contributing a lot in this space, and this is what I'm most excited about. I hope we'll set a new gold standard for fighting game online play. It is real rollback netcode, and it is good rollback netcode. While there is no definitive proof that MultiVersus will have good netcode on launch, and we will not have that bulletproof until we get our own hands on the game ourselves, know that it is an issue that the developers of the game have repeatedly addressed, and that they have taken many steps to ensure that it is solid on arrival. I personally am cautiously optimistic that the game will have solid online upon arrival. Now's the time to talk about what we can expect going into the future. MultiVersus launches fully in 2 months on May 28th. In that time, the developers still have a lot that they can show off. In the showcase, Tony mentions that MultiVersus is going to be adding an entirely new PvE mode for the relaunch.
One of the things we're most excited to announce is a brand new PvE mode that'll offer a new way to play outside of competitive PvP. This new mode will introduce additional ways of playing with unique rewards.
While we haven't received any full news for what the PvE mode is and how it'll work, this is some exciting news. With the only real mode being a somewhat mediocre arcade, I'm hoping that this new mode gets teased and serves as a way to introduce new players to the game without just instantly being forced into hopping to the online ranked matchmaking hell. For me personally, I'm hoping to see some more stage diversity on MultiVersus' return. MultiVersus stages during beta were kind of a struggle. There weren't that many good casual stages, and there also weren't that many good competitive stages. While we received a teaser with the Powerpuff Girls and Dexter stages concept art, we haven't seen any of the actual new MultiVersus stages yet. I'd like to see player-first games bring more unique stage ideas to the table for casual players, and I'd also like them to see them add more balanced competitive maps as well. Last but not least, the thing people care about the most: character reveals. MultiVersus has been down for a long amount of time now. We know for a fact that we're going to be receiving at least a few characters on the relaunch. With 2 months left until the game is back, this leaves them plenty of time to reveal new characters whenever they feel the time is right to maintain levels of hype. Obviously, in terms of literal reveals, this showcase was a little bit lackluster, but we have received something. The developers have shown, with their activity on social media, that they're going to be a lot more frequent in their communication going forward, and we're going to be receiving more news leading up till the release. And from what we've seen so far, the game seems to be somewhat promising. What are your thoughts on this developer update? How many characters do you think we'll be getting? Thanks for watching.